We've had safe search settings inside of the Google search engine, for some time. They've made some changes both in those settings and in how they work. But I think, it's overdue because there's at least three things kind of going on here at once. One is that, image search, which is really where the problem is a very hard thing to do well, obviously, because you just don't know what's inside the image without the search tool looking at the text around the image. And that leads to all kinds of gamesmanship where people will, selling, mesothelioma lawsuits will surround an image with something so that you go there and you search and you'll find something you totally didn't expect. There's famously this idea of Rickrolling where you'll find videos of Rick Astley singing "Never Gonna Give You Up," and I'm sorry to put that in people's heads, but nevertheless, you'll have people playing those kinds of games. And so all of these things make image search very hard. And yes, there are people, and this will come as a huge shock, who now and then go on the internet and search for adult content. So we have these three different things working at cross purposes. But the net thing that I think Google's trying to do here, quite rightly, is to say the preponderance of people who are searching for images are looking for images that solve a particular problem for them that has nothing to do with adult content, and they're being ill-served by the search engine in its current configuration, so let's fix it.
So, Paul, what's the best way via algorithm for Google to achieve this? Is it flagging certain content? Is it providing a kind of second page? How's it going to happen?
So what they're doing, and I think it is probably the most straightforward solution, is they literally have created this sort of safe search setting inside of the search engine itself and say, I don't want to see any of the images that might be qualified or classified as adult content. You're doing a search helping your child put together a paper on Iroquois religious rituals, and you really want Iroquois religious rituals. This is not some code word for please show me something bizarre. And so you want the search setting to prevent those images from coming up. Now again, you're always going to supervise these kinds of things, but nevertheless, that's the intent of the setting. It's not to create all kinds of different sorts of stratification, but just to make it a more useful search engine and to make it as simple as possible for those results to come out. And I think, the mass market adoption Google made this absolutely necessary, and if people still want to find these other kinds of content, they can find it, and so, God bless them, so to speak.
But for Google's brand, to your point, it's important that it delivers what the person is looking for. And I mean, it's not going to come to this because it's a completely different kind of company. But I remember MySpace lost a lot of ground as it was deemed unsafe by many parents.
Right, exactly. I mean, again, the image search is a boon to, school children trying to create reports and looking up information that they would like to include in their reports, but it's utterly unsafe inside of Google as it currently stands, or has been, for exactly this reason, that you just never knew what was going to pop up. It wasn't Rick Astley singing "Never Gonna Give You Up" that you're worried about. It was something, much, bleaker and darker. And so as a result, this tool that should have been fantastic wasn't as good as it could have been, and it's overdue that Google did something that made it more useful to the preponderance of searches, which are actually looking for practical information that solves a particular information need in visual form that people have. And so, I applaud them for it, quite honestly.
And Paul, process-wise, how long does it take to build this kind of algorithm, especially for a company as large as Google and one where the reach is so expansive?
So, the history of these algorithmic tweaks at Google is that actually the ripple of the algorithm changes goes through the entire engine very, very quickly. So you will see the changes worldwide typically within a week and often less. So when they change settings such that certain kinds of sites are elevated or are pressed down in terms of the results, you will see that very, very quickly. So my guess is you will see this worldwide within probably a few days. And so it will, for most people, it will be a very abrupt transition from the old settings to the new ones.